Good morning, motivation team. How y'all doing today? Today, Saturday. Happy weekend, everybody. If you haven't done so already, thank the Lord that you woke up this morning. Go tell your family you love them. Go tell them good morning. Go tell them good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is in your destination. Go talk to them. It don't matter. Y'all, today's Saturday. Happy weekend. Happy weekend. I hope everybody enjoyed their 4th of July. I know I did. I ate good. Had a good time. And I ate good. That's all I gotta say. You know what I'm saying? But let's go ahead and get to the verse of the day. I'm tripping. I'm finna get right into the book. Let's get into the verse of the day. I got Proverbs chapter 16, verse 9. We can make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps. Man, when I read that, I was like, whoa. We can say we want to be this, we want to be that. But the Lord gonna be like, yeah, you can. But I'm gonna throw this in front of you. I'm gonna put this in front of you. I'm gonna make you strong. So when you get to that destination, you're gonna be equipped with all the things you need. You're gonna be ready for it. That's the verse of the day. Let me know what y'all think about it. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 9. Now, let's go ahead and get into the book. The Lord said to Moses, speak to Aaron and say to him, when you set up the lamps, see that all seven light up the area in front of the lampstand. Aaron did so. He set up the lamps so that they faced forward on the lampstand, just as the Lord commanded Moses. This is how the lampstand was made. It was made of hammered gold from its base to its blossoms. The lampstand was made exactly like the pattern the Lord had shown Moses. Many items in the tabernacle was made of wood covered in gold, like the Ark of the Covenant, the altar of incense, and the table of showbread. But the lampstand, it was made of solid gold. The Lord said to Moses, take the Levites from among all the Israelites and make them ceremonially clean. To purify them, do this. Sprinkle the water of cleansing on them, then have them shave their whole bodies and wash their clothes. And so they will purify themselves. The Levites are helpers to the priests. The priests were made holy. The Levites clean. The priests were anointed and washed. The Levites were sprinkled. The priests were given new garments. The Levites they had to wash theirs. Blood was applied to the priest. Blood was waved over the Levites. Then the Levites are to lay their hands on the heads of the bulls, using one for a sin offering to the Lord and the other for a burnt offering. To make atonement for the Levites, have the Levites stand in front of Aaron and his sons and then present them as a wave offering to the Lord. In this way, you are to set the Levites apart from the other Israelites, and the Levites will be mine. After you have purified the Levites and presented them as a wave offering, they are to come to do their work at the tent of meeting. They are the Israelites who are to be given wholly to me. Not holy, but whole, like holy. Not holy, but wholly to me. I I have taken them as my own in place of the firstborn, the first male offspring from every Israelite woman. Every firstborn male in Israel, whether human or animal, is mine. When I struck down all the firstborn in Egypt, I set them apart for myself. And I have taken the Levites in place of all the firstborn sons in Israel. From among all the Israelites, I have given the Levites as gifts to Aaron and his sons to do their work at the tent of meeting on behalf of the Israelites and to make atonement for them so that no plague will strike the Israelites when they go near the sanctuary. The Levites belong to the Lord in exchange for his deliverance of the firstborn sons in Israel at the time of the 10th plague. That's why God appointed them to serve in or around the tabernacle. So the Levites purified themselves. They washed their clothes and presented them to the Lord as a wave offering. After that, the Levites came to do their work at the tent of meeting under the supervision of Aaron and his sons. They did the Levites just as the Lord commanded Moses. The Lord said to Moses, this applies to the Levites. Men 25-year-olds or more shall come to take part in the work of the tent of meeting. But at the age of 50, they must retire from the regular service and work no longer. They may assist their brothers in performing their duties at the tent of meeting, but they themselves must not do the work. This then is how you are to assign the responsibilities of the Levites. So Moses, the children of Israel, and the Levites all did as God directed them. The Levites showed the qualities of the kind of people ready to inherit the promised land. Those who are cleansed, dedicated, and doing the work. All right, chapter 9. Chapter 9. The Lord spoke to Moses in the desert of Sinai in the first month of the second year, after they came out of Egypt. He said, have the Israelites celebrate the Passover at the appointed time. Celebrate it at the appointed time at the twilight on the 14th day of this month, in accordance with all its rules and regulations. So Moses told the Israelites to celebrate the Passover, and they did so in the desert of Sinai at twilight. The covering of his blood caused the judgment of God to pass over his people. Israel was obedient to God. We don't see any sign of disobedience against God or distrust of him by the Israelites. But some of them could not celebrate the Passover on that day because they were ceremonially unclean on account of a dead body. So they came to Moses and Aaron that same day and said to Moses, "We have become unclean because of a dead body. But why should we be kept from presenting the Lord's offerings with the other Israelites at the appointed time?" Moses answered them, "Wait until I find out what the Lord commands concerning you." These men probably weren't the only ones who were unclean. Right before the Passover, they wanted to celebrate, and they were bold enough to ask Moses to ask God for a solution. God told Moses that the unclean could still keep the feast, but they would have to do it 1 month later. The unclean were among those who needed to remember what God did for his people through Passover. But if anyone who is ceremonially clean and not on the journey fails to celebrate the Passover, they must be cut off from their people for not presenting the Lord's offering at the appointed time. They will bear the consequences of their sin. A foreigner residing among you is also to celebrate the Lord's Passover in accordance with its rules and regulations. You must have the same regulations for both the foreigner and the native born. It didn't matter what bloodline or ethnic group that person came from. If they didn't celebrate, they cut off. On the day the tabernacle, the tent of the covenant law, was set up, the cloud covered it. From evening till morning, the cloud above the tabernacle looked like fire. Whenever the cloud lifted from above the tent, the Israelites set out. Wherever the cloud settled, the Israelites encamped. Sometimes the cloud was over the tabernacle only a few days. At the Lord's command, they would encamp, and then at his command, they would set out. Sometimes the cloud stayed only from evening till morning, and when it lifted in the morning, they set out. Whether the cloud stayed over the tabernacle for 2 days or a month or a year, the Israelites will remain in camp and not set out. They obeyed the Lord's order in accordance with his command through Moses. Even though Israel been organized and ordered by God, cleansed, set apart, and blessed, they still had to be guided by God each step of the way to make it to the promised land. God didn't do all those things to make them able to march to the promised land without him. The movement of the cloud was unpredictable. God would not allow Israel to be led by routine or tradition. They had to see and respond to the presence of God. You know what I'm saying? It's different ways for everybody, I believe. You know what I'm saying? I believe it's a different way for everybody. We got to listen. We got to tap in. We got to tap into that, to that mentality type stuff. You feel me? We got to tap into it. But that's going to be it for today. I hope this video is a little longer than the videos I was just making. But happy weekend, everybody. Y'all enjoy y'all weekend. See y'all Monday. Stay blessed. Keep praying. I'm out.